March 24th at 7.
Wait a second. We got to start the Zoom.
Oh, thank you. Okay, thanks, Chief. All right, it is just after 7:30 on this Monday, March 24th, 2025. In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, notice of this meeting has been sent to the retrospect, posted on the Borough website, Borough social media, and posted on the bulletin board in Borough Hall. It's being held in person as well as via Zoom. If we could stand for a pledge of allegiance followed by a moment of silence, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag, state of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Call. Commissioner Troy,
Present.
Commissioner Seidel,
Present.
Commissioner Bianco Bezich.
Present. And I am actually looking at item C, which is the minutes approved as submitted. I actually have been in connection with Deanna and Sal. I found a number of issues in the short time I had to look at them. So I'm going to make a motion to table the minutes until the April work session. Could I have a second?
I'll second that.
Voting on that motion, Commissioner Troy,
In favor.
Commissioner Seidel,
In favor.
Commissioner Bianco Bezich.
In favor. Thank you. And thank you, Deanna, for getting all of them done. And I will give you all my notes shortly. Let's see. So proclamations, first and foremost, thank you to everyone who's in the audience tonight for a proclamation. That means you're doing great things in the borough and the larger region. So we'll begin first with Women's History Month. And just to note that at our April business meeting, so the last meeting in the month of April, we will be celebrating and recognizing some special women, some of whom are here actually tonight, and they don't know it yet, but they will be recognized next month with something special. So this evening, though, we do have the larger proclamation, which essentially recognizes the over 300 years of contributions and excellence of many women in Haddonfield, including education, the arts, commerce, communications, entertainment, government, healthcare, law, literature, medicine, philanthropy, religion, science, sports, and technology, in addition to caring for those in our homes and the larger community. And so for that reason, we are proclaiming March 2024 Haddonfield Women's History Month. So after we're done all the proclamations, any of the women in the audience and our staff members who would like to get up for that photo, I would invite you to. The next proclamation we have is for Library Week, and we have Amy Goodworth here, the president of our library board. Thank you, Amy, for coming. I'll just read a brief bit of the proclamation for Library Week, and that is, libraries provide free access to all, from books to online resources, for families to library business centers that support entrepreneurship and retraining. Whereas our nation's academic, public, and special libraries make a difference in the lives of millions of Americans today more than ever. Whereas libraries help level the playing field for job seekers, with 88% of public libraries providing access to job databases and online resources. Whereas libraries are places of opportunity, providing programs that teach all forms of literacy, promote continuing education, and encourage lifelong learning. And whereas in times of economic hardship, Americans turn to and depend on their libraries and their librarians. Now, therefore, the Board of Commissioners of the Borough of Haddonfield, County of Camden, State of New Jersey, hereby proclaims April 6th through 12th, 2025 National Library. So thank you to Amy and all of our library patrons and supporters, the friends of the library, and our staff at the library as well. We also have Lions Site Awareness, and Commissioner Seidel, I'm going to ask if you would like to read this one.
Sure.
Okay, and Commissioner Troy, would you like to take alcohol?
Sure.
Okay.
So we're recognizing the Lions Club Site Awareness Month, the month of April. Whereas the Lions Club International has existed as a community service organization since its founding in 1917 and now includes more than 1.5 million members among 46,000 local clubs in 200 countries around the world. And the Haddonfield Lions Club, chartered in 1944, has grown to become one of the strongest Lions clubs in New Jersey. dedicated to supporting community organizations and helping the visually impaired. And the Lions Club continues to support other worthwhile regional organizations, including South Jersey Eye Center, the Lions Eye Bank of Delaware Valley, the Best Work Industries for the Blind, and the New Jersey Association of Blind Athletes, among others. The Haddonfield Lions also hold events and fundraisers that provide financial support for the public library, the police auxiliary, public schools, Little League, interfaith caregivers, Haddonfield Celebrations, Haddonfield Foundation, and many others. And a personal plug, April 6th is the Lions Pasta Dinner at 4 to 5:30 at the Presbyterian. Let it be resolved that the Board of Commissioners of the Borough of Haddonfield, New Jersey, hereby proclaim the month of April 2025 as Lions Club Site Awareness Month. Congratulations, Lions.
And Commissioner Troy, we also have Alcohol Awareness Month.
All right, thank you, Mayor. The proclamation tonight, whereas alcohol is a primary factor of the 4 leading causes of death for young persons ages 10 to 21, and whereas alcohol is the most commonly used addictive substance in the United States, and whereas young people who begin drinking before age 15 are 4 times more likely to develop alcohol dependencies than those who begin drinking at age 21, and whereas the typical American will see 100,000 beer commercials before he or she turns 18, and whereas kids who drink are more likely to be victims of violent crime, to be involved in alcohol-related traffic crashes, and to have serious school-related problems, and whereas a supportive family environment is associated with lower rates of alcohol use for adolescents, and whereas consistent and sustained parental attitudes can influence a child's decision about whether or not to use alcohol and drugs, and whereas our kids who have conversations with their parents and learn a lot about the dangers of alcohol and drug use are 50% less likely to use alcohol and drugs than those who don't have such conversations. Now therefore be proclaimed by the Board of Commissioners, the Borough of Haddonfield, County of Camden, State of New Jersey, join the National Council on Alcoholism and Drug Dependencies, Inc., and do hereby proclaim that April 2025 as Alcohol Awareness.
Thank you, Commissioner. And I think, do we have Melissa here? I don't know if we have anyone from Municipal Alliance tonight.
Just me.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Commissioner. Okay, great. We also have a proclamation this evening for Autism Awareness Month, and I'll read a bit of that. I want to say, as the mom of a neurodivergent child, it means a lot to me that we recognize the strength and the resilience of our kids and our parents who are in the community, who call attention to the very special kids that live here, and the adults as well. So whereas there's no singular way to experience autism, and each individual on the autism spectrum has a unique journey, yet collectively, autistic people enrich our industries, strengthen our communities. This April, we celebrate the achievements of all neurodiverse individuals and champion the equal rights and dignity of all those living with autism. In the United States, more than 5.4 million adults are autistic, and 1 in every 44 children has received an autism diagnosis. Despite this prevalence, autism remains widely misunderstood, and autistic individuals continue to encounter barriers in employment, in healthcare, education, and housing, but their immense contributions often go unnoticed. We must address disparities and provide tools that foster clearer communication, enhance productivity, and promote greater independence. And so in an effort to recognize the very special people that live in our borough, including all those with autism, we mark Autism Awareness Month in April 2025. And let's see, next we have Haddonfield Sculpture Month.
So April is also Haddonfield Sculpture Month, whereas the outdoor sculptures have enriched communities throughout the world for centuries by providing accessible opportunities to enjoy public art. And whereas the Borough of Haddonfield has nearly 24 pieces of Instagram-friendly public art on display, including Hattie, the steel artifact from the North Tower of the World Trade Center, the Children's Sculpture Zoo, the Haddonfield Militiamen, and the artwork on Mechanic Street, which all represent sculptors from around the country and world. And whereas the Haddonfield Outdoor Sculpture Trust, in cooperation with the borough, has created a nonprofit public-private outdoor art initiative populating key downtown locations with permanent and rotational sculptures. both figuratively and more abstract, and in the process has transformed the town into an ever-evolving gallery, attracting visitors to town. So therefore be it resolved by the Board of Commissioners of the Borough of Haddonfield, County of Camden, State of New Jersey, that April is the 7th annual Haddonfield Sculpture Month. Congratulations to host.
Yeah.
We love your stuff.
So we have Stuart here from host, and we also have, I have to give a shout out for the last proclamation. We have Heather and Christina here from the Human Relations Commission. Heather's son is also here, and they were the driving force behind the autism proclamation. So thank you very much for your work on that, Stuart. Thank you for all you do to keep our town beautiful. And our last proclamation, certainly not least, Denise and Ginny are here. And this one is, in order to raise awareness of child abuse and also do prevention work. And these women here tonight, Denise and Ginny, represent the fortnightly, and we thank you for all your work that you do to prevent and raise awareness of this terrible issue that faces every community, Haddonfield included. Whereas children are our nation's most vulnerable members, as well as our nation's most vulnerable resources, helping to shape the future of New Jersey. And whereas positive childhood experiences, or PCES, like loving caregivers, safe, stable, and nurturing relationships, all help mitigate trauma and the negative impact of adverse childhood experiences, promoting the social, emotional, and developmental well-being of children. And whereas childhood trauma can have long-term psychological, emotional, and physical effects throughout an individual's lifetime and impact future generations of their own family. Whereas trauma, including abuse and neglect, is a serious problem that affects every community in the US, and finding solutions requires the input and action of everyone. Whereas children who live in families with access to concrete economic and social supports are less likely to experience abuse and neglect. And whereas prevention is possible because of partnerships created between families, advocates, welfare professionals, education, health, community, faith-based orgs, businesses, law enforcement, I'll add social workers, I don't see them in here, local, state, and national governments, we hereby in Haddonfield, as the Board of Commissioners, proclaim April of 2025 as Child Abuse Awareness and Prevention Month. So what I'll do now is just ask Joanna if you could step up to orchestrate a quick pick with anyone who is here for a proclamation. So we'll go in order. I'll say any and all women who would like to be featured in the photograph for Women's History Month, come on up, come on down, I should say.
And I'll recognize Larry Melton and Jackie Martin from the Lions Club because I forgot to mention them by name.
Yes, Jackie. Thank you, Larry, for all you do. Our outgoing president, right? Oh, Brenda, thank you for being here too. Okay, so let me put these in order. Okay. Have the commissioners come around here. Are we doing women first?
Sure, might as well.
Yep.
Oh, all right, women first.
Help carry something.
Which one's coming
All
next?
right, so you're doing women first.
Okay. Sorry, you should go back to the moments.
Right back.
Okay.
Yeah, it does. It just goes right back. Okay, got it. Thank you so much. All right, next up, we have Library Week. Amy, good work.
All right, how are you?
Okay. All right. For the board. Yes, perfect. Thank you. Yes. Okay, next is Larry and Jackie for Lions Site Awareness. And Brenda?
More than We've done this before.
Don't get out there.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, look forward to seeing you all.
Okay, alcohol awareness. I don't believe we have anyone up to.
Oh, sure. I'll just stay in the middle.
There we go.
I was the rep of the municipal line, when I was on the board of education.
All right. And autism awareness, Human Relations Commission members, Heather.
HRC?
We're heading to Scouts right after this.
Oh, right on.
Thank you for being here. Thank you. Thank you. Everyone that's here. This is real. Thank you for everything. Thank you. Trying to thank you. Joy, we're gonna take a picture. Yeah, hold on, Trent. Oh, yeah. There we go. Oh, this is great. All right, ready? All right. Thank you. We have one, let's see, two more. We have Sculpture Month, Stuart Harding. You can shake hands, you can shake his hand and then you can take that.
Okay. All right. I like you, Stuart. I'm not gonna bite you. 7th annual. I don't think it's been 7. Well, there was back there. You want to take that?
Thank you. Okay. And Denise and Ginny, if you would like to come back up for child abuse awareness. Thank you.
Nice seeing you.
All right, and this was.
All right, yes.
Might be a record for the most proclamations at a meeting in a while, Deanna. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
I used to love when they did that.
Okay. So next we have our monthly departmental reports. And I know we are already at nearly 8 o'clock. I want to be respectful of everyone's time. So what I will do is I'm just going to give a brief overview because the chiefs worked really hard to put together their year-end stats. And I can't thank them enough, or our law enforcement officers, our firefighters, our EMTs for all they do. So I'm going to give the highlights of 2024, and then both of you feel free to chime in. I will ask you to add anything you'd like to do. So we'll start with HPD. 2024 actually had the lowest burglary numbers in a decade. We had 24 burglaries compared with the highest, which was 75 in 2016. Domestic violence calls, something Chief and I have tried to pay a lot of attention to over the last few years, had the lowest number in a decade also. We were down to 16 domestic violence responses. The high during COVID was 45 calls in a year, something that really concerned us as a department. Motor vehicle thefts. We had 8 total motor vehicle thefts in 2024. This was compared to 14 in 2023. For those who were most interested in this issue in the last year, one of the things we've worked really hard to do is work with the state police task force. We also increased overnight patrols and took steps within our own department and with neighboring departments to combat that. But as most of you may have remembered, we were on a state, regional, and nationwide high in 22 to 23 of car thefts. Total call volume has increased yearly in the last several years. Officers responding with more to the same number of people, roughly 18,000 calls in 2024. And we really do like to say, see something, say something works. So those calls are typically to or concerns, and those are the ways that the police are able to actually help and do as much as possible to be responsive to you. Another highlight was the senior parking permit that we started in 2024. We sold over 800 passes in 24. To date in 2025, we sold 760 of those. We received an additional award from USDA. Again, with everything that's uncertain in the federal government, we're still awaiting those dollars, but that's over $5.5 million to complete the new police headquarters. Completion date is anticipated in fall of 2025. We installed 20 signs on intersecting streets at Wood Lane, Westmont, and West End Avenue. We installed solar-powered stop signs at Westmont and Mount Vernon, and we received another grant in the amount of $2,000 thanks to Chief Cutler's work on cross-county connection program, so that we can install 6 new lighted stop signs, all of which have been ordered and we're waiting their arrival for installation. We also made sure to have 10 minutes free of parking beginning in 2024 at all spots, not just on-street metered spots. And coming up, we will have painting and signage across Wood Lane intersections, indicating not only at the stops that there's a stop and there should be painted cross notifications, but also there will be signs warning you mid-block that you should be stopping. There's a stop ahead. We did hire a new full-time officer as promised, and we also brought back everybody's favorite, Lieutenant Leverick. He is devoted completely to the downtown business district, walking that beat, Haddon Avenue, Kings Highway, surrounding streets. Also, he serves as our municipal court officer, which has been fantastic. And I think I know the chief is laughing at me probably because everybody was so excited to see Lieutenant Leverick come back, including us. We hosted our first ever bike rodeo back in September with Lieutenant Grasso, who did an excellent job. Officer Ernie is our dedicated school resource officer, and he makes a point not just to be within the high school, but with all of our kids as well. As the mom of an elementary school kid, it's so important to me to see him reading, to see him walking along the street and greeting the kids, and they really do love him so much. Sergeant Sorg Blue and I hosted an event with Inkwood Books. This was for those of you who might also have elementary schoolers. Dogman is a very popular character, represents a canine officer combined with a man officer, a human officer. So we hosted a really fun event in conjunction with Inkwood Books. Of course, we continued our Halloween tradition at Washington Ave. We continued the Marine Corps Toys for Tots drop-off. We escorted Santa along with Haddon Fire Company, something we started back during COVID to bring a little joy to everyone when we couldn't do so much together. And of course, we helped celebrations light up the tree ceremony, and we hosted 2 movie nights this fall. I think one of ours got rained out, but we had Jurassic Park at Hattie's birthday, and at the Halloween night market, we also showed a movie. And I also want to give a shout out, although it was in 2025, to our Police Chief Advisory Commission member, Kathy McGeehan, who's also with Moms Demand Action. She was really instrumental in helping Joanna and the chief and Lieutenant Grasso and I put on a domestic violence seminar early this year. And that was really a wonderful event. So I want to thank her as a volunteer as well. I'll move right on to fire and EMS. Total fire calls, 623 calls. Response time is just at over 3 minutes, which with the average arrival time from call is 4 minutes and 59 seconds, well under the NFPA 1720 standard of 9 minutes and 20 seconds, Chief. Really well done. I know how hard the department has worked in the last year to get this and do a great job as always, but to continue to strive for meeting and exceeding those standards. Haddon Fire Company membership, 46 active members. That's active members who are saving lives. That's a 28% increase from years prior. And our stipend program with 33 stipend participants as of the time of putting this together with my chiefs, 85% increase, staffing the firehouse 24/7 with 3 firefighters or duty personnel at all shifts. Our EMS total calls and response times was 1,230 calls. We have 7 full-time borough staff members on EMT or as EMS and 6 part-timers, again, all borough staff working in the firehouse with our volunteers and overseen by Chief Foreman. In the firehouse, everyone has completed the mandated bloodborne training. They conducted 2 live burn sessions at Burlington County Fire Training Center, which is incredibly important for them to be doing. We held 127 documented drills. That's, again, shout out to Chief Foreman. All personnel, including EMS, finished their 4-hour vehicle operations course. The advanced first aid course sanctioned by the Department of Health was completed. We've updated with new defibrillators and a Lucas chest compression system for CPR. More on that for the health festival that's coming up, the Wellness Festival on May 10th. And we have continuously strived to integrate CEUs with our mandatory training. Last year was also the first year that I know of that we applied for and received over $50,000 in grants for our firefighters. So that was in addition to funding the stipend program 24/7 for the first time, and in addition to the normal contribution we make to Haddon Fire Company, that was the first time we successfully worked as a partner, right, together to fund firefighter gear. We also did apply for over $200,000 from FEMA for SCBA, which is breathing apparatus. With the uncertainty in DC, I'm not sure when or if we will hear about that, unfortunately, but Chief, myself, and Sharon put a lot of work into that. So I want to credit Sharon as well for all her help. Again, I'll just credit all the community involvement both chiefs have put in. They've done fire alarm installations. Of course, fire company did fire prevention, school visits. We hosted fire prevention night again at the house. That keeps getting bigger and more exciting. Of course, we did the 9/11 memorial, the 4th of July parade and fireworks staffing. And we hosted the Friends School summer camp for tours and talks. And there were 7 total notable incidents. These include the early morning Chestnut Street dwelling fire, 2 Patco technical responses, a Joe Bell Drive dwelling fire, Choose Landing, MBA hazmat, Walnut Street dwelling fire. And for those of you who may remember when we had those wildfires raging very close to home, we were actually responding in our neighboring community of Voorhees. So not something that everybody may be aware our fire company did. They actually showed up to an active fire, forest fire. And with that, I think those are all the high notes I wanted to hit, Chiefs. Chief Gorman, I'll start with you. I don't know if you want to add anything.
You gave the report, man. You know, I've been talking for about 2 hours, so I just wanted to thank the borough and just be selfish. I wish I could sit here or stand here and look at the same panel of people up here, because what they've done with this fire department, taking it from almost an 8-minute response time down to 2 minutes is just incredible. People ask me, well, how are things going with the fire department? Well, let me answer by this. We have 24-hour staffing. We're looking into increasing capabilities within the building. We're talking about looking at a new apparatus, and we're multiplying members exponentially. So you ask me how things are going. Things are going great. I wish we didn't have to change anything right now, and that's being very selfish. But I wanted to thank the borough for allowing us to do this and taking stock in the fire department. So thank you to the borough. I think a round of applause for letting us do our job. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for everything.
Thank you.
And Chief Cutler, anything you want to add?
Sure. Good evening. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to reiterate, the mayor said great, our stats are down for the year. I couldn't be more proud of the police department and the men and women that serve every day, put their lives on the line for the citizens. I just want to reiterate, again, crime is down despite of what some false reporting on Facebook. You can't believe everything you see on the internet. I can't, stress that enough. You want the real numbers, or you want to know what's going on, all the police department, just don't source all your information on the internet, because most of it is not correct. And I wanted to thank, as the chief said, the commissioners, especially Eric Bessage, who's been a director of public safety for about 6 years now, for advocacy for the police department and fire department and all of public safety has been beyond reproach. So I want to thank you and thank all the commissioners for allowing us to do our job.
Thank you, Chief.
With that, we'll move on to revenue and finance.
Well, before I said that, tonight I was on a joint insurance fund meeting. It's a monthly meeting of all the municipalities that are members of our joint insurance. And one of the topics tonight was the dwindling volunteerism in firehouses and how the insurance companies are going to try to have to deal with that. And they said, all of you towns are dealing with this. And I said, and they said, oh, Haddonfield, no, you're a unicorn. So congratulations, guys, for being able to keep your volunteer organization very, very healthy. But that said, I'm going to be very brief. Tonight on the resolution under the consent agenda, we have an authorization to approve emergency temporary budget. This is a normal thing that happens this time of year as the state still gets all its ducks in a row. And we have the crossing of an administration. So it will be left to the new administration at this point to adopt the formal budget. So we're doing another emergency temporary budget to get us through the May election so that the state numbers will be available to us, the county numbers, any other revenue sources that are beyond our control, but we'll know by then, and then we'll pass a budget in the next session. And then the other thing is, I'm proud to say that, where'd it go? Okay, there you go. Open requests, although they're all down 7%, it's a little increasing in 5 hours and up, meaning it takes more than 5 hours to process that open request or get the information all together. That's up. It's about 7% now of our total open requests. The majority are 0 to 2 hours, but like I said, they are starting to drop precipitously. I think that has a lot to do with, I don't know what, but I'm glad to see it. So that's all from revenue. Oh, and our audit is kicking off. Sharon, when?
The audit is due in the second week of April.
Right. And one of the things that we're requesting this year is for them to present the audit to the public in a public session instead of just delivering the audit for us to give the update.
Ooh, well done.
Thank you. Everything has a price, but that's worth the money.
Thank you. Okay, with that, we'll go to Commissioner Troy for Public Works, Parks and Property, please.
All right, I have some summary notes at the end here, but I'll turn it over to Bill first to give us an update on Public Works.
For the month of February, we had all our routine tasks, picked up recycling, waste, we had our chipper out. Our tree guys were out working on our trees. Some of the highlights, we did have one snow event over Bryan roads, we were out also cleaning up all walkways and borough properties. We did have our pothole machine out for a few weeks, filling the potholes in. And we started cleaning up flower beds and the tree wells down in motion. Upcoming, we're working on equipment to get out the spring mowing in motion.
All right, thanks, Bill. And on the Haddonfield Happenings app, there is the chipper and leaf truck scheduled during spring cleanup. It's going to actually start on Monday, March 31st through April 25th. Leaf chipper and trucks will be collected during spring cleanup. The chipper truck will be 331 again on Monday through 4/4 and again on 4/14 through 4/18. Leaf truck is 4/7 through 4/11 and again 4/21 through 4/25. And that is the cleanup schedule, which is available on the Haddonfield Happenings app and also available on the website under the search, I think special collections, yeah. So you can get updates there as well. So thanks, Bill, and if I can, turn over to Doug to give us an engineering update.
Thank you, Commissioner Clark. Our office is working on, we have had road improvements, or a sewer project that's going on. Working on a basement repair for a damaged wall on 6 Avenue. We're preparing construction documents for inlet and catch basin rehabilitation retrofits, and that's part of compliance with the NJ. Requirements. We started on the 2025 road improvement design project. This week we'll probably be out starting our survey, we're independent here. And hopefully all that demolition is commencing, so we'll start buying on that demolition work. And then those residents on the road projects from last summer and fall, the contractor was out recently to put down the topsoil on the ski, so for that.
Of you on Zoom, not sure what happened, but we're back online. Hopefully all of you are there with us. We finished our Public Works report by Bill Ober and Doug, our engineer, reporting to Commissioner Troy. And now we're just going to move quickly to public affairs and the partnership for Haddonfield. And Joanna, if you want to include in that any notice that you want you or Chief Cutler have for a couple of upcoming projects.
Do you want
Great.
to do the whole report or just?
I think just the highlights.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay, so Chief, I don't know if you can put that up for the screen to share. The top, yeah. And then go to July. Okay, so. I'm sorry. But I can.
Yeah.
Okay, so for those of you who did the first half last year, we went through June, Michael and I did this, and it's kind of long, so we'll just go really quickly and we'll put it on the public affairs section of the website tomorrow morning. For those who remember, July was a great month for us. We got a lot of national exposure. It was fun to hear from the businesses. Months following after Good Morning America was here, how many people came into town from Delaware, from Pennsylvania, from Maryland, saying, we saw you on Good Morning America. And so a lot of the businesses were incredibly excited about that. On the 3rd, we had the fireworks, which the borough and PFH put on the events before celebrations and the actual fireworks, and it was quite a night. And then, sorry. Oh, we're doing this, right? You can switch. There we go. Then, of course, the craft show in July, and then August.
Sure. In August, the bigger event was the Summer Street Feast, which led into the summer sidewalk sale. Rather hot afternoon, but what you can't see on the screen is a pretty decent crowd of people, and otherwise very slow time for
Then we had September with the car show, which brought a lot of people into downtown. We had the bike rodeo, the HPD in Lieutenant Grasso. We also had a big active safety campaign with the dinosaurs. Then October, we had Hattie's birthday, which we jointly did with the groundbreaking for the new police headquarters. And then the big downtown Haddonfield and the night market was mentioned in the Wall Street Journal as part of their economic story.
Part of the lifts in October was the ongoing project from the Visual Enhancements Committee. You'll probably seen them already, but there were 8 poles inserted into Hattie Lane, and we now have permanent ambiance lighting there. We managed to pull that off moments before Hattie's birthday actually started. It was when the actual switch went on. So that was exciting. So we were able to celebrate Hattie along with our new lighting. And that, of course, the other big event in October was the Halloween night market. It's kind of hard to describe unless you've been there, but it's one of the biggest events we've had in Haddonfield in such a short amount of time. I highly recommend everybody coming to next year.
Yeah, we had the tree lighting with celebrations, PFH, Borough. We had a lot of coverage with holiday shopping. That was a busy weekend. We started our Borough Bulletin in November. We kicked that off. Then in December, of course, was Santa and all of PFH's accomplishments. And here's the downtown Haddonfield highlight, Chief. Slide.
Some of these you folks probably heard before, but Haddonfield is recently been designated a Main Street. We'll be attending the Main Street America Conference in Philadelphia next month. It's actually rotating in different cities across the United States, so it just happens to be right across here for this year. We awarded $8,600 in retention grants to 4 different businesses. We recently celebrated the Maya J Salon, Maya John Salon, check cutting the other day. The tree lighting, get over at Library Point actually had more lights this year. We spent a little bit of money to include LED lighting. You wouldn't know the difference if you saw that tree. You'd think it was regular, but actually it's LED. We had our big electronic community gift card BOGO right at the end of, right at the beginning of December. We're able to inject $25,000 into that program. A good deal amount of that money has been redeemed into Haddonfield businesses. And then we worked with a series of different, nonprofits and uplifting our events. One of the bigger ones that we were really happy was Indian King Tavern made a big uplift during candlelight shopping to create Yuletide at the museum as part of our annual candlelight shopping campaign.
It's a busy year.
Yeah, great job, you guys.
And just I was wondering about public safety. Colesville Road projects starts this week. It's going to be an ongoing project. We'll put it on the app for the next few months, 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday. Colesville will be closed between Utica Avenue / Farwood and Grove. So,
Joanna, just say those dates one more time for Coles Mill closure.
So they were supposed to start work today. I don't know if they did with the weather, but this week for the next few months.
Okay, fantastic. And that's to the improvements that we're undertaking with DOT money. So no cost to the borough. It actually was applied for and approved by the county after Chief Cutler and I begged them for a few years to please give special attention to Coles Mill Road. So very excited that drainage has been improved, grading will be improved, sightlines, visibility will be improved, and we're adding sidewalks to part of the area so that families who have kids going to school, people who want to walk their dogs or safely bike to and from will have more accessibility. So stay tuned for that. And I think before we move on to the wireless communications plan, I just want to give a shout out to all the employees. And I would ask everybody in the audience to clap for them because we couldn't do what we do if they didn't do their jobs. And I'll pay particular attention to Bill, who's our newer
department head at these meetings, if not for the work that he could do with the chiefs, with Joanna, with Michael, when we execute these events, or we have serious emergencies or severe weather, we couldn't do this. We couldn't serve the residents and the taxpayers because they're the ones doing the full-time job. So I would ask that everybody clap for our employees. And with that, department heads, if you would like to leave, you are free. Oh, no, because right, we have to open to the, I'm sorry. Okay, so with that, we're going to move on to the wireless communication plan, Sharon.
Ma'am, Susan Rayball from Citizens was supposed to be on Zoom this evening to make a short presentation of this. She's not here, so I am happy to go through and hit the highlights of the communications plan. I just am unable to put it up. I did not create a slide presentation for the folks on Zoom.
Do we want to do that, or do we want to table it till she can be here to answer any questions?
We can certainly table it. Are you going to then continue moving on with the ordinance? She was supposed to be coming to this evening. I'm not sure what occurred as to why she's not here.
Well, I'll be really honest. I have a lot of comments on the wireless plan. And I was hoping that she'd be here to address some of them. It's a bummer, but I would probably move to table the ordinance for now, just because there's just a lot. This has been worked on for a long time, but I've only been a commissioner since November. This is the first time it's come up, and I've been itching to get my fingers on this one. So, thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion to table by Dave.
I'll second.
Voting on that motion, Commissioner Troy,
In favor.
Commissioner Seidel,
In favor.
Commissioner Bianco Vesit.
In favor.
Understanding as an ordinance, it's a 2-vote process, so this will be picked up again in June.
Okay,
Unfortunately, sorry.
that's okay.
So.
I'll just come sit in the chair.
Clarifying question then, so we're tabling the presentation. Does that also hold true, obviously, for the
Ordinance. That's what my second assumed. Frank, you made the motion?
You made the
Yeah,
motion.
you made the motion. Oh, I made the motion. Yes, I made the motion for both the presentation and the ordinance. Oh, I thought I seconded it. My bad.
So also the ordinance tabled as well?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Yeah, we don't really table the presentation. We'll just skip it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sal.
Okay. Okay, so with that, commissioners. You okay, Sal?
Yes.
Okay,
We're recording the second of the table.
okay. Could I have a motion to open to the public for items listed on the agenda, please?
I'll make a motion. I'll second.
Voting on that motion, Commissioner Troy,
In favor.
Commissioner Seidel,
In favor.
Commissioner Bianco Vesit.
In favor. If you're able to stand and you'd like to comment now, this is for items on the agenda and on the agenda only. Each person would be asked to state their name and address for Ms. Bennett, Deanna to take the minutes. And we ask, if you're not able to stand and you'd like to speak, that's okay too. We can come to you with a microphone. Please just indicate that. And I'll just remind everyone, each speaker gets 5 minutes. We'll start in the room first, and then we will go to Zoom if there's no comments in the room.
And hearing Walnut Street. Yes, on the agenda, risk cutting on public property, $39,750. Who cut our grass before? Did Public Works ever cut our grass?
Please, yeah.
So Public Works cut all of the grass, all the public borough grass in town, for years. When we created the Recreation Commission, we went out to bid for grass cutting on the fields. And that is some of the costs that are being covered by the fees being charged. So the grass cutting award tonight is just for our fields. Public Works continues to cut grass at our municipal buildings and our parks.
is there any advantage of saving $40,000 and having our public works, who's already in our budget, cut the grass?
Well, it's two different budgets, and yes, because now Public Works is able to catch up on other things. And also during the summer times, they can't necessarily get through all of, everything that's going on, especially because of the storm and people.
Okay, for this, I know this has been tabled, the telecommunications ordinance. Did we pay them to do the study? I can't remember. I have it somewhere at home, but
Yes,
okay, we paid them. Do you have any idea how much we paid them to do this study?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
All right, and now, let's see here. I don't know whether to discuss Lullworth now. It'd be nice if you put who, out of the 4 responses, who you picked and how much they're paying and what it's gonna be used for.
We'll be going through that tonight. That's actually the activity of tonight.
That in the document?
We'll be publicly choosing them tonight.
Oh, I see. Oh, you haven't chosen them yet out of the 4? Okay. This is very interesting. I need someone to expand on this, and this is the amendment to the redevelopment plan. On page 26, they're talking about had the world ordinance, and they say that the parcel is to be developed with age-targeted housing, either townhouses or multifamily dwellings, and affordable housing. Well, I thought Woodmont is not having age-targeted, but so I'm, if someone needs to expand or on that, because I don't understand. And then it also says on page 27, under this redevelopment plan, Lullworth Hall property would be, continue to be a historic landmark. But it also said, here it is, to authorize its current use as professional offices and a bed and breakfast, as well as a reversion to a residential use. So what is going on with, with those? One says, I'm interpreting that, I don't know, I could be wrong, that Bancroft Woodmont has to have age-restricted housing there, which is what we're pushing for. And I also would like to know, have you pursued discussion with Woodmont to reduce their original 120 apartments to the former amended plan that was established before the lawsuit, and then the judge said we had to go back to the original plan and not the amendment plan. So are you in discussion to have Woodmont amend that original plan? Or is this a done deal and it's going to be 120 units?
So we could tackle it in a few different ways. So Sal, could you explain the difference between a redevelopment plan and a purchase and sale agreement?
Before we do that, I'm sorry, Annie, do you have any other questions
good.
before
Go
your
ahead, Sal.
22 run out? Because then we can answer all your questions.
No, just Lullworth.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
Thanks.
Mhm.
Yeah, that really, yeah, that Matt's.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, that's all right, but
All right, no, that's all right. We'll take a shot at it then.
I don't want to hazard that, that's Matt Jessup, who's the redevelopment council, so that's not my area, so I really can't explain the difference.
So your question is, this is a redevelopment plan. It's not a purchase and sale agreement,
Right.
which says exactly what will happen. These are are possibilities.
Right.
So your question about Lullworth, it can be a better breakfast, it can be professional offices, or it could be single family home. That's the constraining choices that we have in front of us tonight with
That's
proposals.
going to be the end result. It's got to be
One of those.
okay.
And then your other question about
So we
age.
offices, a bed and breakfast. Okay, so it could be a home. Wouldn't that be great if you could afford to buy it? Oh my
That would
God,
be great.
I'd be in heaven. All right, so that's good.
One of your other questions was
Age
about,
restricted housing,
well, age targeted,
age targeted, yeah.
Well, there's a
There's a
key
difference.
difference between age restricted and age targeted. So I think that's the key. It's in the
Yeah.
document, it says age targeted, which was the fact that it's going to be age targeted. There's not.
Yeah, but Woodmont wasn't age restricted or age.
It wasn't.
Well, it's an age, not-
There's two different things. There's age restricted,
Right,
which is not what it is, and that's not what the development, the plan has ever called for. It's age targeted, so it's to focus on, 55 and older.
right,
where
that's
possible.
correct. But I'm saying Woodmont
Woodmont
was
is one.
not going to have any age targeted. When did they change it?
But being the fact that it's 1 and 2 bedrooms, it can already be age targeted because you're looking for people who are going to go down to something smaller than what they currently live.
Yeah, and just maybe in simpler terms, age restricted is a legal determination that only persons of certain ages can be qualified to live in the units, and there's a percentage. Right, and there's percentages that if, you had a grandchild or a child living with you, there's certain exceptions. But this age target, it's really speaking to design standards and the aesthetics and the livable space. So smaller units in that 1,200 to 1,500 square feet, 1 and 2 bedrooms, accessibility features, elevators, covered parking, all of the amenities that might be provided, they're all intended to allow people to age in place or have smaller individual or couples living there.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
What I'm trying to figure out is Bancroft was not designated as being age targeted.
It's always been designated since the redevelopment plan was conceived by prior administrations. It has always been age targeted. It has not been age restricted. So there has never,
So all the units are gonna be age targeted for 55 years and older, so we don't have to
no.
worry about overpopulation of school-age children in our schools.
No, I don't believe we need to worry about overpopulation in our schools by the mere fact that the design standards and the area of Woodmont's plan, et cetera, will attract those in different stages of life that aren't sending kids to school.
and nearly half of the units are
Are one-
1 bedroom.
Yes. And there will be standards within the units, which will essentially, within the lease, there's controls that you can't have more than X persons living in a unit. And then those affordable units also have UHAC controls. So, but to address the question, nothing has ever been planned there to be entirely age restricted. A lot of people have brought that issue up, but the plan itself has never, to my knowledge, correct me if I'm wrong, was never written with or amended to include expressly age restricted legal term housing. It has always been inclusive of age targeted design standards and building construction.
Okay,
And then your last question was about negotiations. Can you talk about that?
I mean, I personally haven't. I would imagine that.
come on, Sal.
Well, he's not the negotiator.
I'm not the redevelopment council. I mean, once the litigation was concluded, my part of it was done. So, and then there was a vote that was taken. So Matt Jessup, who was our redevelopment council after the commissioner selected at the last meeting. I mean, I haven't personally spoken to Matt. I haven't texted or emailed. I imagine he has. I don't want to say he has, and he has.
Find out if it's gonna be 120. Or it's gone back to the amended plan, which was 90.
We're at time. We're at time.
Yeah.
So
How do we find that information out?
According to the judge's ruling, that the commissioners were forced to consider what existed in May of 2024. They couldn't look at anything else.
That's correct, and that's what they did.
Right.
Now I'm saying, can they negotiate with the 120, with Woodmont, and ask them in good faith, since they already approved the 98, they already, that amended plan, they said, okay, we'll do it. So why can't we go back now? They did what the judge ordered, 120 original plan.
Yeah.
Now
Annie?
can they go back and?
I'll be really plain about this. We're not going to talk about that in public because it's a negotiation. We have to negotiate with them. And we have until we have to give a purchase agreement with them at our April meeting.
So.
Okay, and your time, yeah,
Yeah.
we did
That's-
give you your full.
That's the answer we're gonna give you because we
So-
can't give you any more than.
So you can come back, your time's up, Ann. You can come back up at the end of the,
Yeah, if the residents have to, pursue other avenues regarding this 120, we should just go ahead and do that because we don't know what's going on, right?
your time's up, Ann.
Is that?
We're gonna move on to the next.
If I can, I'll just respond quickly to it. The court order was pretty clear that we had to make a decision based upon the
The
9
original.
proposals. Basically, choose from one of the 9. And,
We
Yeah.
know that.
yeah, so I think that that's where it stands. And personally, I'm not gonna do anything contrary to what the direction of the court was. And,
Okay, you're missing, I'm sorry, Frank.
Yeah.
you're missing one point.
Ann,
We know-
thank you. Anyone else in the room who would like to speak?
No.
No, there's no rebuttal. You were given 5 minutes and over. Thank you, David. I don't like to have to gavel.
David Hunter, 260 Windsor Avenue. Two things on the agenda, the resolutions under the consent agenda. Item 36.
David, could you speak a little?
Yes. On the consent agenda, item number 36, the authorization to hold the arts and crafts festival. It says for the borough to hold that event. I always thought it was a partnership, I hadn't filled it in. So shouldn't it not be the partnership that's being authorized to hold that event?
Oh, no, David, that is correct. You are correct in recollecting. Oh, I should say, do you want to ask any more questions before I interject? I don't want to cut off your time.
No, then
Just one quickly.
Okay, so that is correct. The short explanation, but happy to give you more details if we have time, is that this year there were changes made with Marcy and Renaissance Craftables, I believe is the name, the formal name. That last year was the 30th year. This year they've made some changes in how we're moving forward. So the contracting agency for borough and partnership purposes this year is the borough.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. With respect to the proclamation for National Library Week, I think we need to note what's being requested here, that all residents are encouraged to connect with the local library this week as well as throughout the year, to take advantage of the wonderful library resources available at the library. Well, last week, the federal government, under presidential direction, axed the Institute of Museum and Library Services, being cut to the bone. And this is a federal body that provides funds to the states, and the states provide funds to local libraries. And our library is going to lose funds for some of its vital services. Thanks, folks. And you know who I mean by folks.
Thank you, David. Anyone else in the room on agenda items?
I'm PJ Maloney, I live at 210 Homestead Avenue. The reason I'm here is to comment on pilot funding. Pilot funding is something that nobody really in the public understands, and quite frankly, I didn't get it all myself. My comments have to do with Lullworth Hall to the extent that pilot funding is with regard to Lullworth Hall, but it also applies to the Bancroft property as well. And with specific regard to the Bancroft property, on February 10th, the Redevelopment Council reported that.
Just checking back up, I'm sorry, I was on the agenda.
Okay, we reported that, gave some broad numbers as to how much income would be available to the borough over the course of 30 years. under the pilot program using numbers that he had developed himself and based on a 2% growth rate in gross revenues over the course of 30 years. I asked and I put in an open request on March 7th for the spreadsheets and other analysis to see how we came up with these numbers. I never got any word back, and today I complained and finally was told that my request had been denied because it falls under attorney-client privilege because the records are delivered. First of all, I want to say that I'm the outlier on your quickly answered open request because mine took way longer than it should have, and I should have been told within 7 working days after my application that my request is being denied. Secondly, I called upon the members of the commission to work with the redevelopment council to try to make public as much as possible those numbers, the spreadsheets, and other analyses. Why do I say this? I don't have anything against the redevelopment council. I think he probably came up with his numbers in good faith, and I think he believes his numbers to be accurate. But at the end of the day, he's an attorney and he's not an actuary. And I think that those numbers should be subject to review by other people who do this for a living and specifically look at income streams. And the reason it's all important is because that our understanding as to how long and how much money is going to be made over the course of 30 years is very dependent on how much gross revenues we're going to have. And a lot of that has to do with property values. We have seen property values go up by 114% over the last 20 years, whereas inflation has only gone up by about 66%. That can't continue. There are long periods of time in the United States where property values have stagnated. So you can't say that for sure that you're going to see property values continue to increase. And in fact, there's a strong possibility that they could fall. With that having been said, if gross revenues fall because rents fall, because property values fall, then what's going to happen is the borough is going to come up with a shortfall. The borough cannot come back to whoever owns the property at that point and say that they want to raise their taxes. Instead, they're going to have to come to people who are individual owner occupied throughout the rest of the borough and raise their taxes instead. It's basically a crapshoot. So we need to know exactly what these estimates are. And we need to be able to look at best and worst case scenarios to see where we're going to fall and how much is possible that individual ratepayers here in the borough could end up having to pay if in fact we see gross revenues fall. Right now, those numbers are not available to us. And to be able to enter into an agreement with Woodmont or any other developer for that matter, and with regards to Hall as well, without understanding the risks that you're taking, is something that I don't think is conscionable. And I think that it's important for the borough to make these numbers public to the extent that it's possible and allow people to do analysis on how those numbers work out. Thank you very much.
Thank you, PJ.
Sorry, I'll take, Frank, you want to take a crack at it first?
Thank you, God.
All right. When it comes to pilots, the redevelopment council does not come up with the numbers. No, you can stand, you can sit. I'm just talking to you, but it's not a back and forth. I'm responding to it.
I'm just saying that he stood up here and he gave numbers.
Right. He gave numbers that were provided by NW Financial. So we have an independent auditor score the value of the property on behalf of the borough to understand the numbers. It has nothing to do with the redevelopment council. So a pilot is a payment in lieu of taxes. The only thing we actually negotiate, PJ, is the sale price of land at $4.5 million or six. There's so many damn confusing versions of this thing, $6 million, right? So $6 million is all we negotiate. The pilot is something that comes later. At one point, Frank Colleen and I had a pilot structure of 10% for 10 years, 11% for 5 years, 12% for 5 years, 13% for 10 years. We're back to 10% average gross revenue for 30 years. Where does average gross revenue come from? The cost of the rents. When do the rents get set? After they've been building and they understand the economic space of it. You're asking to predict tax revenue for the next 30 years. You can't do it on your house. We can't do it on a business downtown, but we can negotiate the percentage of their gross revenue. And that's what he spoke about. It has been averaged at that property at $18.75 million based off of what the average rental rates for those types of developments would be over the course of time. It is a guess. We negotiate a percentage, but that comes much later in the process. What the actual percentages are once they realize how much they're going to get for rent, how much they're going to get for the garages that they're going to rent, how much they're going to get for extra pets, what they're going to get if you rent a garden plot. All of those things become gross revenue that then become our percentage. So that's what we've negotiated. You can't negotiate a number that doesn't exist until the year it happens. But we had a really solid negotiation that went poof. So now we're back to 10% of average gross revenue for 30 years. But those numbers do not come from redevelopment council. They come from our professional. And why aren't they available? Because we're still negotiating.
But you can tell us what the models look like.
We just did 10% gross revenue for 30 years. That's what's negotiated in the plan, and a sale price of land of $6 million.
And when you come up with a number like 18 million, 18 points, whatever.
No, we don't. We hire a professional,
Okay.
NW Financial, who came up with that.
Okay, when they come up with that number, that's based on their understanding of the expectation of what.
That's correct.
What the gross revenue.
That's correct.
Okay, so.
Okay, and PJ, your time's up, so I'll give you another minute. Ann got a minute.
No, I actually asked you to sit down, but that's okay.
Okay, and all I'm saying is that you say you can't tell how much with regard to individual homeowners, you can always raise their tax rates. But once you've set this, you've set it in stone for 30 years. You can't go back and say, well, we've got a revenue shortfall. We need to raise taxes for these folks. No.
And they raise rents, and when those rents goes up based off of their costs, that is average gross revenue. It goes up. It's a percentage, just like your property value is a percentage of your land and your improved value. And you can sit and laugh all you want, PJ, but it's not a number that you can predict what your taxes are going to be in 5 years.
But you, as a commissioner, can raise taxes on me if you have a shortfall. You can't do it on those folks.
That's why it's called a pilot.
Thank you.
It's pre-negotiated.
It's a risk.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room?
It's not on the agenda. There's a section there on the agenda.
You can wait till the end of the meeting.
There will be a public comment on non-agenda items at the end. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Fred.
Hi, Kim Custer, 48 Norman Avenue, Delran. Just a quick comment. I know I'm very limited to 5 minutes here. Due to the nature of Bancroft and its historic presence, I would like to ask the commissioners if they could have Doug Rauschenberger come and give a public presentation on the history of Bancroft. I certainly can't cover it in 5 minutes, and he is a town historian. And I think that it's really important. We have a lot of people on Zoom. We have people coming to meetings. I think it's really important that we go on record with the history. We are historic Haddonfield, or you guys are historic Haddonfield, and I think it's really important to understand what exactly we have been fighting for the past 18 years. And if you guys are still in negotiations, I'm meeting with you. I really would love to see the stone building be part of the public part of the park. That is a very important historic structure that I think needs to be kept in the borough's ownership. So it can be developed and be part of a heritage trail. It could be something that we have tangible. We have something tangible at the end. Because as I'm looking at this right now, I'm seeing that all this work that we've done for the past 18 years, we were not going to be getting a lot for it. We really wanted a large public park, and now we have something very small. The athletics got their fields. The developer got their development. Now, I think it's really important that we, as a town, get back some of our history. And if there's any way that we can push back to that 98, if we can push back the development a little bit, or is that going to happen when we go to planning board and HPC? That would be a great time for us to really present again the history. of what we really are fighting for and what the legacy of the property really is. So, thank you.
Thank you, Kim.
Thanks, Kim. Anyone want to come?
No, thanks. Okay, anyone else in the room on agenda items before we go to the Zoom? Okay, anyone on Zoom who would like to, oh. Okay, if you could raise your hand, Chief Cutler or Joanna will let you know when you're next. Okay, last call for Zoom on agenda items only. Okay, thank you. Seeing that, commissioners, could I have a motion to close to the public on agenda items, please?
Motion to close.
I'll second that.
Voting on that motion, Commissioner Troy,
In favor.
Commissioner Vidal,
Yes.
and Commissioner Bianco Bezek.
In favor, thank you. Okay, next we have item H on the agenda, which is actually for ordinances. Sal, is 2501 getting tabled?
Mm-mm.
No? Okay, I'm just double checking. You couldn't, Okay.
That's more general, that's more broad.
okay. So first we have ordinance 2025-01, the ordinance to amend chapter 48, various fees. This is just the first reading, so we will not open to the public tonight on it. We will open, thank you, Michael. We will open to the public for second reading at our April meeting. Deanna, can you please remind me when our April meeting is?
April 28th.
April 28th. Okay, thank you. So the second reading and opportunity to speak on that would be April 28th. Could I have a motion to amend chapter 48, various fees on first reading?
I'd like to make that motion.
Second.
Voting on that motion, Commissioner Troy,
In favor.
Commissioner Seidel,
In favor.
Commissioner Bianco Bezek.
In favor. And by way of reminder, earlier this evening, we had a motion and second, and as well as a vote on ordinance 2025-02, which was the decision to table the telecommunications ordinance first reading. So as Commissioner Seidel referenced, because of the change in leadership in May that will occur, that would be introduced in June at the first business meeting in June. And you'll have the opportunity to listen, to comment that night. And then, of course, there would be a second reading, which would occur in July, where there would be a public hearing on that. Next, we have ordinance 2503, amendments to the Bancroft redevelopment plan. Can I have a motion to adopt on first read, or to approve on first reading?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Voting on that motion, Commissioner Troy,
In favor.
Commissioner Seidel,
In favor.
Commissioner Bianco Bezek.
In favor. Okay, next we have resolutions under the consent agenda. Item I, the resolutions below were placed on the consent agenda by the Board of Commissioners and will be enacted in one motion. For those who are new to this or weren't here at our work session, most if not all of these were already discussed at our work session earlier this month or have referenced to prior meetings. Could I have a motion to approve items 33 through 44 on the consent agenda, please?
Motion to approve items 33 through 44 on the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
Voting on that motion, Commissioner Troy,
In favor.
Commissioner Seidel,
In favor.
Commissioner Bianco Bezek.
In favor. Okay, next we have discussion regarding proposals for the development of Lullworth Hall. Sharon, is that for you, my friend?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Sorry, taking you.
That's okay.
Hey, Commissioners. Grab the right paper. All right. Back in September, we received 4 proposals for the redevelopment of Lullworth. This was the second time around. We had already been under contract with one other that decided not to move forward. Your 4 proposals have all agreed that they are fine with the referendum that was approved and the changes that are going to be going on to the parcel behind that. Your first proposal was from Lullworth Hall LLC. They wanted to use the property for office space in the building and then create 4 small residential units along the rear property line to hide the new structure from the main Lullworth building, and potentially put in a shade garden, and then parking, some in parking in the front, some parking in the back. Your second one was Trinity Investments Holdings. They were looking forward to make it into a single family home. And then your third one is Kings Corner LLC. They were looking to make it into a nonprofit. The first floor would be used for, Board of Education or Board of Borough Taxable use, and the other floors would be STEM education or some other similar education, but it would be a nonprofit use on the building. And your last one, that was property management services. They were again looking for a nonprofit type status for the parcel. They see the ability to the Board of Education. You've had a chance to review them, you've had questions answered for them, so we need to make a decision so that we can move forward with the development of Lullworth Hall.
Well, of the 4 plans, that one that was most attractive in the end was the original intent of that house as to be a single family property. One of the things about being a commissioner is compromise. And you have to compromise on what's the most important thing for you. And for me, it's historic preservation, first, last, and always. I wanted to see of the plans who had the financial wherewithal and the desire to return the house to its grandeur. There were 2 that struck my fancy. And I had to be true to my number 1 and number 2, which is the building gets fixed. The single family home does that. It has a purchase price that is in line with buying a hulking mess of a building that needs a ton of investment. I was comfortable that this one had the financial wherewithal to actually see the project through. I liked that it was a single family because it was the least restrictive path forward. And I'll give credit to Commissioner Troy on this, as he reminded me in this compromise negotiation that house never generated revenue for the borough. And it's about time that land started paying us back for something, right? So the Lullworth house, I agree with you, Frank. It needs to start paying its own way. So I am attracted to Trinity Investments.
As it applies to Trinity Investments, actually applies to all 4 people who presented. I did my own analysis on this, and this is just my best guess on this. And again, some can challenge the numbers on it, but you have to have the starting point here. So if you take into account the sell price or the offer price by all the 4 people who pardon me, made offers on the house, I would say that there was one that probably over a 30-year span would have netted the potential for a greater return. But in order to get there, you would have to go through SHPO, state historic trust, and you would have to basically kind of like subdivide that building. We have already gone down this road before where, and then, the first person who took a look at this backed out from that. So there was concern that if we went in that direction and it wasn't a significant increase from Trinity in terms of 30-year lifespan of it, I thought there were risks there that could put us back to, 30-year lifespan of what Trinity would have provided for us anyway. One of the options wasn't clear enough in terms of what they wanted to do with it. So I really didn't put a lot of weight onto that. And one of the options because it would have been leased back to the school district, really just turned into a situation where, there is negative cash flow, like the taxpayers have money that they're putting out for this property to be used by the Board of Ed. So I recommended Trinity. I like Trinity. And I think that, again, this is going to, over the span of life of the property, is going to provide a nice cash inflow by way of it being a rateable. It has probably the most competitive offer price of the four. And I think that the summary of what they wanted to do with it, their financial backing, their plans for the building, and the fact that they seem very serious about wanting to make it back to what it once was in its infancy, which was a single family house. Seems to be the most compelling for me, and it looks as if they want to start moving quickly with it. And every day that we don't make a decision, and every day we don't take action on it, the house just gets worse and worse than what it is today. I think there's a lot of opportunity there. I want it to be a beautiful structure that you see when you first drive into town, and look to your right and see that back where it used to be. So I went with Trinity. I think it's the best solution, and I look forward to them starting the process, and hopefully we can pass it and get them started quickly.
I'll be very brief. I've never wanted this developed into anything residential, office, or otherwise. I've wanted it to be a community center since I ran for office in 19 and again in 21. As Dave said, being a commissioner means being responsible and compromising. I've done that multiple times on this, and was happy to. But after seeing multiple failed attempts to make anything good, and to see this building become more and more dilapidated, while being someone who said, I'll raise my hand, I'll do the grant writing, I'll try to get private individuals or donors or organizations together. We could consider converting the 65 Club or Mabel K into affordable units. We could put all our community orgs here. Stuart's heard me talk about this. Our Board of Ed members have heard me talk about this. Kim Custer's heard me talk about this. So I'm just, the buck stopping here with me. I'm going to vote for no development, for no one to essentially take over. These guys don't need my vote. And I think it's important to finally address what I've been frustrated by for many years, and what I've been willing to do work on. And if this falls through, maybe as private citizen, Colleen, I'll be knocking on doors to fundraise to fix things up and make it a beautiful community space. But I would love the ability to see this rehabbed, restored, brought back to its glory. But I also had visions for it to be something that, our teens and our seniors and others could make use of, make art within and experiment in and make music in. And that's what I really would have liked to see happen here. So I will not be voting in favor of any developer this evening.
Based on that, it looks like we're going to be putting Trinity Investment Holdings in the resolution that is up next on the agenda. That'll go in the last whereas.
And can you verbalize the sale price?
Yes, sir. The sale price for Trinity Investments is a purchase price of $200,000 with a 5-year tax exempt.
That gives them the ability to spend their money fixing the place up to the standard that we all want them to. And then it will start to pay taxes. And we'll make sure that tax assessor is fair. I'd like to make a motion to accept Trinity Investments as the developer of record and offer a purchase and sale agreement to them on behalf of the Borough of Haddonfield.
Second.
Voting on that motion, Commissioner Troy,
In favor.
Commissioner Seidel,
In favor.
Commissioner Bianco Bizzle.
Opposed. Okay. All right. So now we are moving to public comment on non-agenda items.
Could I have a motion to open to the public on all items not on the agenda?
Motion to open to the public on non-agenda items.
Thank you.
There you go.
Oh, second. No, I
thought you were testing me.
No, I was just thinking. So,
Voting on that motion, Commissioner Troy,
In favor.
Commissioner Seidel,
in favor.
Commissioner Bianco Peasant.
In favor, thank you. Hi, Fred.
I'm Fred Wills, 600 Cedar Avenue. Can I speak on the master plan?
Yes.
I first just saw the first copy I've seen of the preliminary master plan. One thing here that concerns me, I'm not pointing fingers at anybody, it's just something that when I come up to you. Oh, is this better?
Yes, Fred.
Okay. It's just something that I've seen and it concerns me a great deal. And it's on page 119, it's the electric vehicle charging station. And in it, it says essentially, it says that they're going to follow the state laws, which is understandable, and they will monitor the ability to put in stations. I think you're looking for trouble, very simple. You have two things here. This is an old town. Nobody knows what the power is on this, and the way this town is probably wired as a starter is you generally have 8 to 10 houses sitting on a transformer. If I come along, I'm the first house and I put in a charger, no problem. You're the second person in, no problem. Number 3, maybe. Number 6 on the list, back. You use a transformer. There should be a plan to determine how much power and where it's, if somebody's petitioning to, or somebody wants to put in a charger on their property, you know, there should be some sort of place to make sure that you don't have all 6 chargers sitting on the same line. PSE&G is the people who will have to help you. I have no idea what's involved with it. But right now, the way it's worded, you could put 6 level 2 chargers in a row, blow out the transformers, and then you do have a problem because you can't get a transformer. The second issue, which is even more important as far as I'm concerned, is the fire issue. And this is nothing against fire, but this is a town of narrow streets, trees, a lot of wooden houses. And we need, I know the fire department's come up with a plan, and I'm not criticizing, I'm not saying it's great, I'm not saying anything, but very simply, you blow up, these EVs can ignite, you love them, but they can ignite, and even though you train firemen, you don't deal with these fires. What did I learn before? So, I mean, it's unfair to toss them into this. But I really think that we need a very definite plan as to how to deal with this. I've seen the technology is always getting better on how to handle it. This fire is not even addressed in the master plan. It does not exist anymore. The other lease says we're going to, the charging, the power for the charging is said we must monitor. What does that mean? What are you looking for? You know, oh yes, it just blew out all the transformers. I monitor. I hope that doesn't occur. But I'm just bringing this up because this issue is going to come up at some point, and it really should not come up. Okay, you have to approve it, and oh, by the way, this other issue is that. Thank you.
Fred.
Thanks, Fred.
Anyone else in the room on non-agenda items?
Hi, I'm Amanda. I'm on Redmond Ave. So I don't know if this is the forum for it, but I'm just gonna use it for right
Like,
now.
your last name, for the record.
It's Razzie, Razzi.
Oh, sure. Yes.
Okay, so, first question on Redmond, I have a lot of people, myself and our neighbors, parking right in front of our houses and we can't see when we pull out. The doctor's office on the right side of Redmond?
East Redmond you're talking about? Okay.
Yeah.
So right across the street, there's that huge parking lot, right, that has a little chain that all the kids go under to ride their bikes. Can we open that so people can just park there instead of right in our houses, or what?
That's private property.
Is it, who owns that? Is it for sale? What's going on?
I know who owns it. I don't know if it's proper to post it in.
Could you ask Lauren if we could just like move that chain so people could park? If you know him or her. Might as well just ask, nobody's there.
I would, I can, but I would say, I think I already know the answer to that, because he allows it to be used, one time a year for,
The Lions Yard.
the Lions Yard sale, and I think he's very particular about, there's been some complaints in the past with, people either walking through or things parked there, whatever the case may be. So I'd say, I can ask, it's probably very low,
Maybe if we did like a rental, maybe even some, just like thinking about it. Okay, second thing, what are we doing with the biker gangs? What's the plan on it?
We have officers downtown, and also bikes, we've also cars. We're trying to get them, and when we get them, we confiscate the device, call their parents, and charge them, fine.
Yeah, and we also work with Haddon Township, Cherry Hill, Audubon, because they're not traveling alone, as you know, and they're not staying here. Yeah, so
That we caught up with the speed line down, and the river line down,
yes,
and hit the speed line, and then
Okay, and we don't get the bikes back, right?
they get the bikes back after they pay the fine.
and a parent, an adult has to come, and if not, they get donated.
Good, okay, great.
Yes, yes.
That's all good.
Yes, and I think with everyone seeing like this time of year, spring happens, the weather gets nice, the kids are out. And so it's frustrating for our officers as much as it is for all of us. And I would say like our advice is always call when you see it, because people will post from other towns. And like one of the things they also do as officers is listen to social media, like what's being said. How many times have we diverted when they've met up at like the mall and then they're all going to travel on Grove Street, like from Haddonfield, Berlin Road or Haddonfield Road. So if people actually call the police and let them know they've seen it, they hear it, that helps us do better.
We did, so.
That's great. Thank you for
Yeah,
that.
I had a family member call the police yesterday, but the dispatcher didn't connect her to anyone and they like screamed, a bunch of the bikers screamed a ton of horrible curse words. And surrounded the car, I know.
Sorry.
Because it wasn't me, but yeah, so that was a little bit of a worry. And we had my neighbor called 911 multiple times, like he was no answer. So I don't know.
So that's a dispatch issue.
Yeah.
If you,
That's the real issue.
yeah, I would say, Amanda, if you want to call our non-emergency line 429-3000 and report that issue, one of the officers on shift could take that issue and we could forward that up the chain to dispatch.
Well, when you call 911, you're not calling ahead.
No, I know, it's a dispatcher. Right, yeah. No, I know.
Well, they will ask us, what was the number? When was the call? We can help you with that for sure. But it would be helpful for you to tell us so we can partner with your information. Yeah, thank you. Anyone else in room?
Yeah, you know, Walnut Street. Yes, on Lullworth. I think it was Walworth, whatever. They wanted to use it as an office space and 4 small residential units. Were they apartment rentals or sale?
We didn't choose them, Annie.
I know that. I'm saying, but it was an office space and 4 small residential units. Were they for sale units or for rent units? Or you didn't even go?
It wasn't even that developed, no.
Okay. I'm thrilled that the Board of Ed is not getting the property. We're gonna be so excited in that. It's best news. Now, I know the telecommunications ordinance is tabled, I understand that. But just for your consideration, I did some research and I was very concerned about the effects of the electromagnetic fields on human beings and on the environment. So I went online and there's over 15 million websites on this. This is just incredible. They made so much advancement. And they said that the advanced Copper and fiber optics are far superior to wireless in both cost and performance. Well, what they have found out, it's pretty scary, is for years they've been saying, you don't have to worry about magnetic fields or yada. It's not true. This is in-depth research and studies that have been done in Europe and all over the world. And there's the national EMF scientists, and they reported that they're concerned because most of the international and national guidelines are showing that there are electromagnetic effects at levels that were previously reported as safe, and they're not. So they're on the bandwagon. And this study that I was looking at was done by Berkeley. Joe Markowitz, he's the director. And it was so interesting because they even said like these electromagnetic fields are affecting our bugs, butterflies, our trees. You think they're diseased? They're being affected by the electromagnetic fields. They're not diseased. Children who have maybe physical problems or mental issues, it's due to the electromagnetic fields. And they're looking into whether some of these children that have issues, if they withdraw them from all this radiation, that maybe they would improve. And they said, this is the 5th generation of cellular technology. And now we not only cell phones, but we have smart appliances, smart TVs, smart thermostats, smart cities. We have motor vehicles. We have wearable wireless devices. We have watches, glasses, earbuds, medical implants. All of this is just too much for our system and the environment to handle. And you can people go to the doctors and they have a headache or sleep disturbance, or they're irritable, memory loss, dizziness, fatigue, loss of appetite. All of this, they are now realizing can be due to these electromagnetic effects. And they're seeing tumors, they're seeing sperm damage, they're seeing male infertility, miscarriage. It is just incredible. So I'm just saying that you're researcher, whatever you're going to do about this ordinance, please look into this information because it's pretty scary, especially I don't have to worry, I'm not coming in this world, I'm going out, but especially for our children, to think they could have physical and mental issues, and the parents can be taking them to the doctors 100 times and thinking, oh, it could be this, it could be ads, it could be the other thing. Here it is, the electromagnetic fields. So.
Thank you,
they get
Annie.
pregnant, and it's because of the same thing.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room on non-agenda items?
David, under 260 Winter Avenue. Just to follow up on my comment earlier about library funding. Colleen, I think you alluded several times to funding for the police building that is not necessarily guaranteed, or really waiting to hear about that. And then maybe other things.
Yes, for fire as well.
Okay, so I'm wondering whether at each of your meetings, you can report, or ask the department or heads to report on funding that has been lost, or that they're expecting to lose or likely to lose as a result of actions that have been taken at the federal level in recent past. I think it's very important for the community to be aware of the impact of some of the decisions that have been made at the federal level. And it should be pretty easy, I think, for Eric Zeno to answer that question with respect to the library. And so that can be determined. And I mentioned that meetings are publicized. I think that's important for the community to know the local impact that these cuts are having and will have, and the consequences. Thanks very much.
Thanks, David. I can tell you in my department alone, over $750,000 at risk, not being awarded or being rescinded as a result of executive orders. That's for breathing apparatus for firefighters and the new police headquarters.
Okay, can we publicize?
Sure. Yep.
I know 4 residents that have lost their jobs in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's the other problem among many.
Well, 5. Sorry about that, Atira.
Okay, anyone else in the room, non-agenda items before we go to the Zoom? Okay, if you'd like to speak on Zoom, please just raise your hand. Chief Cutler or Joanna will let you know when it's your turn to talk.
Okay, have their hand up.
And then Chad, I'll let Chad pick first since
He's public, yeah, Matt.
public, Matt, you'll have to wait.
Thank you. I didn't know how to unmute or raise my hand there. This is Chad Levine, 413 Warwick Road. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, great. Hope everyone's doing well. I wanted to follow up with Amanda's comment regarding the biker gangs. I want to understand a little bit how when a resident makes a police report, how is there a way to follow up on that? Is that operable? How would someone go about if they were to make a report to the police, finding out if action was taken?
Chad, you can over it, or the person that made it can call, and 9 times out of 10, we'll just tell them over the phone what the outcome is, or they can ask to speak to an officer. When they speak to the dispatcher, they can tell the resident or whoever calls that I'd like to follow up by the officer after the call.
Okay, and then I just want to make sure I understand. So 911 goes to a general dispatcher, but then when they call the non-emergency line, it goes directly to your actual headquarters, right?
No. So there's 3 numbers. 911 is an emergency number that goes to Lindenwald. There's 429-3000, which is non-emergency, that goes to Lindenwald dispatch. And then there's 429-4700, which is the police administration.
Okay, so if it's non-emergent, 429-3000 is the way to go. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, got it. And then following up what she had said about the biker gangs, you had said you got no complaints at all?
No, I didn't say that. No, we got a couple complaints the other day.
Okay, so you got complaints, and then what was the result of it? Like they just went down Grove and then left, or?
Our officers located the individuals Lauren and Haddon, and they were biking out of town, and they weren't causing a disturbance as they left. So nothing would be called Haddon Township and advised them that they were traveling in their direction.
Okay, so by the time you guys had gotten to them, they were the everything had pretty much dissipated.
Yeah, we got a call that just said they were biking carelessly. There was some online chat about different things, but that was not related to the police department.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Are you and I should have asked you this privately, but I'll say it publicly. Are we going to be reporting on the efficacy of the cameras at all anytime soon?
I certainly can. I'll talk to the director of public safety, and maybe we'll come out with some kind of game plan or something to that.
Okay. And then one other question, Colleen, are you still conducting the police advisory committee meetings?
That's the Chiefs Commission. Yeah, there'll be a spring meeting. It'll be announced in our, you're on it. So that's why we email you. We did the domestic violence thing in January. So as I said at our meeting in December, we would look to do 4 meetings a year, at least while I'm public safety director, but it's the Chiefs Commission. So he sets the tone and the timing for it based on his schedule, and I come along for the ride.
No, I know I'm on it. That's why I didn't know if there was another one yet. Okay.
Yeah, no, you will get an email.
Probably the end of April or beginning of May, first spring meeting.
What, I'm sorry, I missed that. What do you
The
say?
end of April, beginning of May.
Oh, beginning of May. Okay. That was all I had. Thank you.
Thanks, Chad.
And I think that we're ready.
Okay,
On this week.
but first we'll close to the public and then open to the press. Right, so could I have a motion, commissioners, to close to the public?
I'll make a motion to close public comment period.
Second.
Voting on that motion, Commissioner Troy,
In favor.
Commissioner Seidel,
In favor.
Commissioner Bianco Bezich.
In favor. Matt, we'll go to you and then Joan and any other members of the press.
Thanks. I just had a question on the Lullworth property. So the purchase price is 200. There's a
Matt,
5-year.
you're cutting out.
Okay. I don't know what to do about that. Can you
You're
hear
back.
me? Okay. Okay.
Start over.
So for the Lullworth proposition, the purchase price was 200, and there's a 5-year, not abatement, but like a moratorium, I guess. There's no taxes for 5 years on the property at that point. So at the end of those 5 years, is there a reassessment of that property on the improvements, or is that only going to be taxed at the 200, or what's the calculus or the prospectus, I guess, that you guys have for bringing that into a revenue generating property?
That would be assessed by the tax assessor when the improvements are completed. So if the improvements were completed before the end of the 5 years, the assessment would be on the books, but they would still be part of the tax abatement. And then, I mean, that's the intent, is that all of the improvements are supposed to be made by the end of the 5 years.
Sure, I get that. I guess at the end of the 5 years, then do you reassess, or are you only taxing 200 at the end of the 5 years? Because that's a deal for Haddonfield.
You're reassessing as soon as the improvements are done, so that could be before the end of the 5 years. As soon as the improvements are done, their tax assessor will go out there and create a assessment based on the condition of the building at that time after the improvements.
Yeah, to give you an example, I wanted to keep my finance report short, Matt, but in just the first 4 months of the calendar year, our assessable value of property went up 300 and some $1,000. And that is, majority is on home improvements that after they get their certificates of occupancy of their renovations, they get reassessed. This would be no different than any other house in the borough.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Okay, Joan?
Executive session?
I don't think so. Okay. Do we have another reporter here?
Or online.
I don't know, behind Annie in the blue. I wasn't sure if you were reporting or not. Yeah. Okay. Okay, and Matt, no further questions? No one else? Okay,
Make a motion to close to reporters.
and adjourn.
Well, no, I want to make a statement.
Oh.
So I want to congratulate Commissioner Bianca Bezich. She has been nominated for the Democratic Party to be possibly our next county commissioner. Don't go anywhere, because we'll be hitting you up for county money and county resources and county everything. And I'm not saying we have an inside track, but I hope we do. So congratulations.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you. I appreciate that very much. I'm very excited to continue doing good things downtown and with our parks and with our neighbors. So thank
Great.
you.
I'll make a motion to adjourn. And I'll second.
Voting on that motion, Commissioner Troy,
In favor.
Commissioner Seidel,
In favor.
Commissioner Bianco Bezich.
In favor.